questions. Now, the first one is standard form. So I'm going to write it back a little bit big here for number one. It's 0.0325. Now, in standard form, right, the number does always have to be in between 1 to 10, right? So let's put it here. Whatever the value is, it has to be between 1 to 10. And this value here is clearly smaller than 1. Now, the only way to get this between 1 and 10 is to move the decimal point how much places? 1, 2 spaces to the right. Now, if we do that, and the decimal point goes in between the 3 and the 2, well, you get 3.25. That value is in between 1 and 10. Now, in standard form, you just always have to put multiply by 10 to the power something. I realize some people chose the wrong something. Anytime it moves to the right, like you have to move the decimal point to the right, it will always be a negative value. Always, anytime you move it to the right. And we moved it how many places? 1, 2. So it's -2, not +2. Question 2 is pretty straightforward, right? This is actually a primary school question. You want to express 8 out of 40 as a percentage. What would you have done in primary school? You would have taken 8, put it over Mr. 40, and multiplied by 100%. Right? Now, remember, you don't have your calculators on you, right? So you're going to do the old-fashioned way. This 0 will cancel out with this 0. 4 into 4 is 1. 4 into 8 is 2. 2 multiplied by 10, and you will get 20%. So the answer for part A, sorry, for number 1 was B, right? And for number 2 was also B. For those who got either of them wrong, you think you understand your mistake now? I think it was a really minor mistakes that were made, right? So that's questions 1, and that's question 2. Let's move on. Right? We have bigger fish to fry. Question 3 and question 4. Good luck. Now, remember, for number 3, ratios is just a fancy way of writing fractions. You know? So if you have the ratio 4 to 5, we know 4 to 5 is not a fraction because fractions have a numerator and a denominator. How do we get the denominator, right? So you put 2 divide signs like this. To get the denominator in a ratio, you just add all the values in the ratio. It's literally that simple. So add 4 and 5. Add 4 and 5, you get 9. So they're already trying to say 4/9 and 5/9 in smart. That's all they're trying to say. Now, they're asking about the larger share. Now, the larger share would be 5/9. Okay, it would definitely be what? 5/9. So they want you to find 5/9 of 540. So how would you do that in primary school? You take the fraction 5/9 and multiply by 540. Now, like I said, you don't already have your calculators on you for this exam, but 9 into 9 is 1, 9 into 54 is 6, and then you have a 0. So you end up with what? 5 multiplied by 60, which is 300. So the answer for that one is C. Now, number 4, you might get scared by the amount of values that you have here, right? So look at this, 18.96 and 2.03. And remember, you're pretending that you don't, well, I hope you already put away a calculator, right? In the XG, you don't have a calculator. So you don't want, it's kind of hard to multiply these numbers. But couldn't we use some approximations here for this? Let me show you what I mean. 18.96, isn't that approximately 19, right? That's almost 19. If you have $18.96, that's basically $19. And if you have $2.03, that's almost as what? $2. So if you multiply these two now, you can do this one in your head for sure, right? 19 by 2 is 38. So you're looking for an answer that has close to 38. There are two possible options. It's either it's going to be B or it's going to be what? C. Now remember, 38 is an approximate answer because we approximated these values to whole numbers. But 38 gives us an idea of which one should be our answer. But they ask for how much significant figures? Two significant figures. Between B and C, which one has two significant figures? Only B. Look at C. C has 1, 2, and have the point 1. That will make it 3 significant figures, right? With significant figures, once the value is greater than 1, you start to count from the very first value. So 3 is a significant figure, 8 is a significant figure, and this 1 is a significant figure. But they only want 2, so the answer has to be B. Right? So number 4 is B. Let's have a look at number 5. Right, I can only get this one to, oh, this one is super easy. Let's just do this one together. Because like I said, we have harder questions to do. 0.45 as a fraction. Another primary school question. All you do is put 45 on top. The dot changes to a 1, and every other value to the right of it changes to a 0. So it's basically 45 over 100. But you have to reduce it now. 5 could go into both of these. 9 5s are 45. So, 5 into 45 is 9, and 5 into 100 is 20. The answer is 9 over 20. That answer is what? 8. All right, so let's move on to a harder question, right? How much of you all are happy with how the multiple choice is going so far? You think you're going to have any problems with this in the exam? Be honest with me. You think you're going to have any major problems with this? No, because for those who just come, even for those in the Monday class, right? We did way harder questions on this. Way harder questions on this. All right, so number 6 is a little troublesome. Like, it's only minor trouble you're going to get with this. Number 6, let me just help you out a little bit. I'm going to write it back properly. So you have 37.26 divided by 1.8 divided by 1,000. All right. Let's see how you should. We're going to approximate some values, right? Let's approximate some values. But we know that 1.8 is close to 2. And I know this is closer to what? 37, right? If we round it off. But let's call it 38, right? We made this number larger, so let's make this one a little bit larger too. You'll see where I'm going with this. 38 divided by 2. I know we could do that in our head. 38 divided by 2 is how much? 19, right? So we could work out the top and to have an approximation of what the answer is supposed to be. So 38 divided by 2, I think it's 19, right? And then I have to divide this by what? 1,000. Now, remember the decimal point is over here. When you divide by 1,000, it has 3 zeros, so you move the decimal point how much? 1, 2, 3. So the answer that we're going to end up with will be 0.019. How much of these answers have 1 0 after it? Because you need the answer to be 0.0 something at least, right? Which answer is the only one that has 0.0 something after it? In number 6, B, right? That's the only one that makes sense. This one is definitely too large. This one is definitely too large, and he just ridiculous. Right? So you see how you can just use approximate value. You can approximate or round off values. do a kind of, I said, an approximate calculation to kind of gauge where your answer should be, and then look at the choices. Only one choice will make sense. The rest of them will just be ridiculously off. Now, number 7, usually people get this one wrong, right? Usually. And the class, almost everybody got different answers for this one. Number 7 actually deals with something called BODMAS. You all remember that? Well, let me write it on the screen here. BODMAS, right? An old friend, right? Brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. You have to do brackets first before division. You all know what BODMAS stands for by now. So look at the trick in this question. 3.3 multiplied by 2.5. I'm going to use a different color here on purpose. Plus, and let me use a different color here. 5.7 multiplied by 2.5. Here's what a lot of people did, and the examiner expected this mistake. Your brain will say, hey, we have a little addition in the middle here. Let me just do the addition part and get that out of the way. And then when we add these two, whatever we get, multiplied by 3.3 and 2.5. But that's the exact trick the examiner is playing on you, right? You have to do the multiplications part, and these two is and these two being multiplied, and the two greens being multiplied. You cannot deal with that addition as yet. So work out this brackets, and then add the two answers. Send back the correct answer for me now, guys. Well, for those who went about it wrong. Work out the two multiplications first, because BODMAS says you have to do multiplication before addition or subtraction. Correct now. So when you multiply 3.3 by 2.5, right? I'm cheating a little bit, right? I'm using my calculator. I know most of you all are too. Just remember, in the exam, you have to give up your calculators for the multiple choice. When you multiply the two greens, it's 14.25. So let's add it now. I'm getting 22.5. That would be which one? D. That's the correct answer. So a few people got number 8 wrong, but let's have a review of it. If you are 48.621, remember in primary school when you now started, right? How they said that if you have 48, the first number to the left of the decimal point is units, right? I spell units. Hold on. Give me a few seconds here. Units. And the next one will be what? Tens. And if you had a value after, it would be 100s and then thousands and whatnot. But after, to the right of the decimal, it's the opposites, right? It's 1/10, 100ths, 1,000ths, and if it had a next value, it'll be 1/10,000, or 1 with 4 zeros. So this one here is 2 of it. So it's 2/100. So the answer would have been E, right? Now, a prime number is a number that can only be divided by itself and 1. A lot of people chose for number 9, D, right? That's wrong. 99 is not a prime number because I could divide 99 by 3. 3 into 3 is 1, and you'll get 33 here. So 99 is not a prime number. The answer would be C. 97 can only be divided by 97 itself and 1. There are no other numbers that could go into 97 flush or without leaving a remainder. All right, so number 8 is A. Number 9 is C. Let's go to number 10. Good luck. Okay. They said 3n represents an odd number. So let's take any odd number in the world. 7 is an odd number. To get an even number, we have two choices. Anytime you take, well, we have plenty choices, but one of the choices is this. Take any odd number in the world, add 1. 7 plus 1, you'll get what? 8. You will get an even number. Or minus 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. So any odd number in the world, if you add 1 or subtract 1, you always end up with an even number, which makes the answer A. Because they said 3n represents an odd number. So if you add 1 or minus 1, you can be sure in maths, you're going to end up with an even number. Right? So number 10 is E, right? Don't think I saw any wrong answers. Only one wrong answer I saw. Great. So let's move on. Number 11 and hopefully number 12 can fit. Yes, for the time being, only number 11 can fit properly. Good luck, right? The answer is D. Let me explain why for number 11, right? Q intersect R, right? This is the answer they have for D. Remember, this symbol represents intersect, or another word for intersect is overlap. So they want to know when Q and R overlap. In other words, if Q represents odd numbers and R represents even numbers, Q intersect R means that there is a possibility that a number can be even and odd at the same time. Can you think of any number in the world that is even and odd at the same time? Any particular number? We're talking about whole numbers, obviously. Is any number, there's no such number, right? It's impossible for a number to be even and odd at the same time, right? Now, I know some of you all might say, well, what about 0? Is 0 even and odd at the same time? As far as I know, it's neither. 0 is just a special case, but he is not classified as even and odd at the same time, right? The point is, if you try to find a number that's even and odd at the same time, you're going to end up with no numbers. It's an empty set. It has no values to go in that category. Okay? So and this particular question is pretty common in the multiple choice. So I suggest you memorize that one for the exam, right? Probably every other past paper does have the same exact question. All right, so number 12. Number 12, I don't want to change anything yet, but it just so happens for number 12, the answer is on the screen there. It's either A, B, or C. D is definitely not the answer. So it's between A, B, and C. Good luck and send the answer for 12. So for those who are interested in seeing the full 4 answers, it's there for number 12, right? Right. So let's explain this one for number 12. They said 6 less than or equal to x less than 10. This basically means x is, you're counting from 6 to 10, almost. Now, remember for the 6, it have the little extra line underneath. This means 6 is less than or equal to. Remember when it have the extra line here, it means equal to. You notice for the 10, it doesn't have the extra line. So that means you're counting from 6 to 10. Now the 6 is included because they said 6 has the equal thing attached to it. So it's 6, 7, 8, 9. But do we have to put 10 to get it correct? The answer is no, right? You're stopping at 9. They said it, you're counting to less than 10, not less than or equal to 10. If it had the extra line underneath here, fine. You could have put the 10. I'm not could have. You needed to put the 10. So the answer for this one would be E. Right. So someone asked how long the test is. I forgot how anybody remembers offhand how long the test is. I'm not gonna scroll up to the top of the paper. I think it's an hour and 15 minutes if I'm not mistaken. Right. Number 13, let me see. Number 13. No, only number 13 could fit right now. This how many items it have in this set? 1, 2, and 3. A, B, and C. It have 3 items. So they're asking how many subsets you can make if it have 3 items. It's a general formula. It's always 2 to the power something, right? The 2 is always part of the formula. Guess what goes in the box? How much items it have? It have 3 items, A, B, and C. So it's 2 to the power 3. So in other words, let me just change around the question. Let's say the question came as A, B, C, but they put D. And they ask you, hey, how many subsets can you get from A, B, C, D? It would be 2 to the power, because they gave you 4 items, 4. It's literally that simple. Okay? So that's the answer for 13, right? I'm going to scroll down so you all can see 14. So 13 was D. Right? It's just a formula, and the underneath value will always be 2. That's just part of the formula. It will always, always, always be 2. Right? So someone asked why it is 2. I don't have an explanation for it. That's just the formula that I learned of, right? I don't have a reason for how the formula was created. Does M and N have anything similar? Yes, right? Where is M and N similar? Both of them have P's and both of them have Q's, right? Now, so if I were to write this, M intersect N, right? M intersect N means what does M and N have in common? So that is what intersect means. And when you have 2 letters and you put intersect in between, you're really asking what both of them have in common. And both of them have what in common? P and Q. So this is how you would write it. But tell me something. P and Q is the same thing as what? N. You all realize this? P comma Q is the same thing as N. So M intersect N is equal to what? N. It just so happens everybody in N intersects with whoever is in M, right? Right. So the answer would be D, and I have a question about A, right? This means this funny looking C, like the C and somebody step on it to flatten it out, right? Is called a subset. Anyone wants to tell me why A is the wrong answer though? What they are saying is M is a subset of N. Any I want somebody to tell me why A is wrong. A is actually almost correct, yeah? But something is slightly wrong with it. A could have almost been the answer. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Think it through. The reason for why A is not the answer, it's supposed to be the other way around. In A, they are saying M is a subset of N. So they are trying to say M is the smaller one. But that's not true, right? If you were to draw this in a Venn diagram, right, we get two different colors. The big circle, right, is supposed to be M, and the small circle is supposed to be N. N is actually living inside of M. So N has P and Q, and the only person who solely belongs to M is R, right? R, P, and Q, all three belong to M, but only R is a member of M only. So the subset is N. It's supposed to be N is a subset of M. The first letter is always the smaller one. They said it wrong side here. They were indicating that M lives inside of N, but it's really the opposite way, right? So I almost got caught with that. I almost said the answer was A, but then I stopped and I thought it through. But for those who are wondering, the real answer is supposed to be D. All right, so let's move on to 15 and 16. Let's see, let's find these here. Give me a few seconds. Yeah, get two different, 15 and 16. Good luck. Number 15, I like to use the cross for those, who looked at all my money videos and from the Monday class, right? So, but anything with currency, I run to the cross. Now, it's two values we're dealing with here, US currency and TT currency. They said 6 TT is equal to 1 US. So, 6 TT dollars is worth 1 US. So that goes in the first row. And then they said they gave us 15 TT dollars. So how much US dollars is that worth? It's just a cross multiplication question. 6 multiplied by X is 6X. 1 by 15 is 15. The 6's are multiply. Throw it across. It becomes what? A divide. So 15 divided by 6 is 2.5, right? So the answer would be $2.50, right? Because 2.5 is really $2.50. So number 15, like what most people said, was C. Number 16. Now, there are two ways to do number 16. I just want to do it the fancy way because I have the cross here already, right? And I remember doing a question like this in the Monday class, right? The original price, right, of the refrigerator, well, when you now went to buy it, was $18.50. The original price, how much it was at the start of the question or whatnot, is always 100%. The original price. So that's the original price. So it's two things we're dealing with here. We're dealing with percentage and value, money. The 1850 was worth 100%. If you get a discount of 5%, hear the question, huh? You just got a discount of 5%. How much percent will you be paying now? If it was originally 100%, and somebody said, hey, giving you a discount of 5, I'm giving you 5 off, how much percentage would you be left to pay? 95%, right? So you just, right? So you are left to pay 95%. So the question is asking, how much is that 95% you have to pay, right? It's a cross multiplication question. 100 by x is 100x. I know it's going to be kind of hard if you don't have it. It will take you a little while to do the multiplications, but trust you all can get through with that in the exam. That's now 1850 multiplied by 95 is 175750. Throw across the multiply, you'll get a divide. This is easy to divide in our heads. 1757 and 50 cents. The answer will be C. Now I know what some of you all could do and you will get the same answer. You could find 5% of 1850, and when you find 5%, you minus it from the 1850, which is what you would normally do in, well, I guess in primary school to get out a question like this one, right? But like I said, I wanted to work it out the fancy way because that's the way I showed how to do it in the Monday class. Right, so let's see what's going. So that's I know I'm gonna circle it here again. Number 16 is C, right? All right, so let's move on to number 17. Hey, 17 and 18 can fit. Good luck. It has in number 17, it is asking us to find 20% of 30. Because then we're selling it to make a profit of 20%. But they ask how much money did he gain? So it's just the profit they're asking us for. So it's 20% of 30. This will cancel out with this zero. This, oh, sorry, wrong thing to cancel out. 1 second. Right. So we're going to get 6, right? So number 17 is A. This question was a little too easy. But anyway, let's not complain about it. Number 18, you just have to pretend you are this person going to the restaurant. So they tell you it costs $60. Now, if they say it have tax, then obviously you have to pay a little bit more money. You have to pay 18% extra on the $60, unfortunately, right? So that's fine. 18% of 60. This zero cancel out with this zero. 2 into 6 is 3. 2 into 10 is 5. I'm going to cheat here and use my calculator a little bit. 18 multiplied by 3 is 54 divided by 5. Divided here, well, you'll get $10.80. Everyone agree with that? $10.80. But that's not the full answer, right? Because they're asking what's the total bill. Remember, you have to pay that $60 and this annoying tax on it after. So your bill comes up to $70.80, right? So the answer would be B. Right. And this is something true when you go to any fancy restaurant, you get a tax on top of it. And then you get a service charge on top of it. So when you advertise something at $60, most of the times it end up being close to $100. Right. So let's move on. Let's say we get 19 and 20 to fit. Well, only number 19 could fit here for the time being. All right. Good luck as usual. Let's look at the higher purchase option. They said for the higher purchase option, you pay $35. So you go in the store and you pay this amount, $35. And as you are walking out the door, they kindly remind you that for the next 12 months, you have to pay $30 every month in addition to the 35. So take the 12 months multiplied by 30. 12 by 30 is 360. How much did you pay now? Now remember, it's 360 plus. You can't forget that $35 you put down earlier, right? Most people do, but you're not supposed to. You'll get how much money here? 395. Now, this is with the higher purchase plan. If you had paid with cash, just went in and give them the money, they would have only charged you $350. How much money extra did you end up paying? It would be $45 then, because 395 minus 350 is three how much? No, let me three. I mean, that's $45. So shipping is not talking. All right. So the answer would be D. Could I ask you how much extra? A lot of people sent A by mistake, right? So the answer is D. All right, so let's have a look at number 20, and hopefully 21 will be able to fit at the same time. Yeah, 20 and 21 just fit. Right. So interest is what? Principal by rate by time over 100. They gave you the interest, right? The simple interest, they said it was $90. So the interest is $90. They're asking you in this question to actually find the principal, the original amount invested in the first place. So it's principal or P they're asking you to find. Huh? Rate is how much? Where's the rate? The rate is 5, and the time must always be in years. They gave you it in years, no tricks. All right. So I guess in here is just a cross multiplication question, right? 5 by 3 is 15. So I'll just put that here, right? So let's cross multiply quickly. So 15p, because 5 by 3 is 15. 15p by 1 is just 15p. 90 by 100 is 9,000. Yeah, have it correct there. 15 is a multiply. Throw it across, you get a divide. Let's see what we get here. 9,000 divided by 15. I'm getting $600. The answer would definitely be C. Right, so I'll give you some time on number 21. I didn't even read 21 as yet. All right, so you have the shoes, right? So let me just draw some shoes here. That's supposed to be the shoes there. All right, so we actually don't know the original price of the shoes right now, right? And initially, when we read the question, all we know is the person got a discount, and the discounted price is how much? The discounted price is $45. Now, obviously, the price was more before, right? Remember, that 45 is after she get the discount. The original price would be how much? Remember, she saved $15. So if the discounted price is 45, then the original price would be $15 more. So 45 plus the 15 will give us $60. That's the original price. Now, when you are calculating percentage, we know she saved $15. It's clearly stated in the question. We know it's 15 divided by something, and to convert it to a percent, we multiply by 100%. What goes underneath here? The discounted price or the original price. And that is what a few people didn't get correct. They didn't know what to put as the denominator. It's always the original price. Things like, see, before you have profit and loss and whatnot, the original price is what you put as the denominator. Always, always, always. Unless specified otherwise in the question. So 15 over 60 multiplied by 100, I guarantee you, will give you 25%. The answer would be A. So if you didn't know, now you know. All right, so let's see if we can get 22 and 23 to fit. I'm hoping to get some trigonometry and I'm fed up of these money questions. Sine, tan, and cosine would be nice. One more money question and then an indices question. Good luck. Question. So it's the same formula they gave us, I used earlier, sorry. Interest is principal by rate by time over 100. The interest, they gave us the interest as $108. The original amount invested in the first place is 900, right? Well, that's the principal. We don't know the rate, and they gave us the time as 3. Right now, this question, we don't have to cross multiply. I mean, I could, right? But there's actually an easier way to do this. If you look at it, this 100, the 2 zeros here will cancel out with that, right? So the denominator is 1. Anything divided by 1 is itself. 9 by 3 is 27, and don't forget the R. You're just solving for R. The 27 is a multiply, throw it across, you get a divide. 108 divided by 27 is, I get it 4. 4%. So the answer would be B. Right now, number 23 is just a simple indices questions. Indices, well, whenever the bases are the same, like if I have x to the power 6 multiplied by x to the power 10, you notice this is x and this is also x, and there's a multiply. Whenever there's a multiply, you write back the x once, and the powers, you don't multiply them. Multiply means to add the powers. 6 plus 10 is 16. Now, this is my own made-up example. I'm going to apply it to this now. So you can multiply 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is easy. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. But then you have x to the power 2 multiplied by x to the power 3. So you put back the x. You note that there's a multiply. Multiply means to add the powers. 2 plus 3 is 5. So the answer would be A, not C. Right? A lot of people put C. Multiply means to add the powers. Okay. Yeah, this paper is pretty easy so far. Right? All multiple choice exams are this easy. There's no such thing as a hard maths multiple choice exam. There's no such thing, right? If you already got close to, how much people got close to 20% in the SBA already? Or number 24, and let me do my own example here for number 24 first. Let's say that you have two weird denominators. Let me say it's 4 plus 2 on y, right? Most people, when they're adding fractions, they don't know how to find the LCM of 4 and y. They're just not accustomed with letters. So the best way to do this, anytime you're not too sure what the denominator is, just take the two denominators and multiply them, but leave them separate. Don't even put 4y. Just put 4 multiplied by y. That's the two denominators. The 4 and the 4 will match up here. So it always leaves you with what it doesn't match up with. So 4 into this, because the 4 and the 4 match up, it leaves you with y. Whatever you are left with, which in this case is y, you multiply by the top. So 4 into this leaves you with y. Y by 3 is 3y plus y into this denominator. You notice this time the y and the y match up. So it leaves you with the other guy. So y into this leaves you with 4. 4 by 2 is 8. Now, you can't really simplify this much, right? The top remains 3y plus 8. You can't simplify that. And 4 multiplied by y is 4y. You could use this concept with this question now. So let's try. Let's try. Now, there are two ways to do this question, all right? But I'm going on the assumption, I'm pretending that somebody doesn't know how to find the LCM of this. So the person says, hey, I don't know how to find the LCM of 5x and 3x. Nobody never showed me that. So you put the two things next to each other. You just say 5x multiplied by 3x. You multiply the two denominators, but leave it separate. 5x into this, the 5x matches up with the 5x. So it leaves you with the other guy. 3x, which is what you are left with, gets multiplied by 1. Anything multiplied by itself is itself. Plus 3x into this, the 3x and the 3x match up. It leaves you with the other one, 5x. 5x multiplied by 2 is 10x. 3x plus 10x is 13x. And now the underneath, you could simplify it, right? 5 by 3 is 15, and x by x is x squared. But you don't see that answer, right? You don't see that answer anywhere here. But then you realize this could simplify. The top has an x, and the underneath has an x squared. So one of the x on top will cancel out with the squared, because x squared is x by another x. So you end up with 13 on 15x, which is D. D is the answer. Right? For those who can't see this here, now let me put it down here. Now you add 13x divided by 15x squared. This squared only belongs to this x. It does not belong to the 15. So it's 13x by 15, and x squared means x by another x. Cancel, cancel. Give you some time with number 15. I'll give you a half a minute. So number 25, you don't even need those brackets, because it's P multiplied by Q minus P multiplied by R. We would never write it like this in class, and we would just put PQ minus PR. Isn't that the same exact thing, right? There's no need for any brackets here. The brackets just put there to make it look more complicated than it needs to be. So, and both of them have a P, so you could factorize or pull out the P. So pull out the P, just in case you can't remember. Well, when you're pulling out a letter, that means you're visiting everybody and secretly dividing them by that letter. So we decided to pull out P. Look in here. So we go by everyone and divide them by P. P and the P cancel out, P and the P. That's Q minus R. I don't know why this question is so easy, but let's not complain, right? Right, so class will be finishing close to 7:30. So let's move on. 26 and 27. Yes, 26. That's all. That's all. That's in case you can't see it here, that's a T over here. Good luck. All right. So So in this question, they told you x is -2. So they want you to replace the x here with -2 and y with 3 and then t to the power 2. Now, how this works is that the examiner is just, it's only two things he's testing you on here. He wants you to realize that because this whole thing is in brackets, this squared belongs to both the -2 and the 3 at the same time. So you can rewrite it like this: -2 squared divided by 3 squared also. So that's the first thing he's testing, that you realize that the brackets indicates that the squared belongs to everybody. He's also testing you on, if you remember, if you square anything in the world, well, at least for the CXC syllabus, you get a positive value. -2 squared is +4. If you type in -2 squared on your calculator and you do not get +4, like instead you get -4, you type it in wrong on your calculator, right? I guarantee you, square anything up to the CXC syllabus, it will be positive. 3 squared is 9. So the answer is +4/9. Yeah, give you some time in number 27. Number 27, you see how they have P asterisk Q? This is called binary operation. So that's the name of this topic. Don't worry, it's way simpler than you think. So they ask you to find 2 asterisk 3. But you're following the pattern. According to this, you see how we have P asterisk Q? P comes before the Q. They're just asking you to pretend P is 2 and Q is 3. That is literally all they're asking you to do. So you go to the equation they give you. Any P that you see, replace it with 2. Any Q that you see, replace it with 3. So it's 2, replace this guy with 2, and replace this Q with 3. 2 by 2 is 4 plus 3. It doesn't get easier than this, right? So the answer would have been B. Right. Let's look for 28 and 29, right? Let's see if we can make it halfway through the paper, right? So that's 27. That's all, guys. What's number 28? Look at that. Well, number 28 and piece of 29 is fitting, but you can at least work out 29 and then we can scroll down to see the answer for it. So good luck with 28 and 29. We're just going up to 30 today, right? Let's expand the brackets and solve for x. So we can expand the brackets here. Everyone gets multiplied by 5. So you get 10x minus 5, like 5 by 2 is 10 and 5 by 1 is 5. You just put it equal to 35. Solve for x. Throw across -5, you get +5. 10x is equal to 40. Oh, we can do this in our heads by now. Divide 40 by 10, you're going to get 4. The answer is D. 29, they're just asking you to substitute any x you see with 4 and any y you see with 2. So let's do that for number 29. Look, the x here, when you substitute it, just put it in brackets just in case. So you get 4 squared plus 3. Replace this y with how much? 2. And then x multiplied by y. What you'll get here? 4 multiplied by 2, right? 4 squared is 16. 3 by 2 is 6. 4 by 2 is 8. 16 plus 6 is, oh Lord, I can't do this. 22 divided by 8. Both of them can get divided by 2, so you get 11 on 4, which is, if you convert this, 11 on 4 is 2 3/4. I'm not too sure if that answer, let's see. The answer would have been D if we worked it out. Sorry. The answer would have been D. right? So we just have one more question to do, right? Number 30. Right? And we'll call it a night when we finish 30. The answer for this one is A. As simple as that. They just said to add something. It's A. 6 is added to a number, and only notice the whole thing is being divided by 3. So the whole sum is divided by 3, and it gives you 4. That's all, right? All right, guys. I know you're probably tired. What exam I have tomorrow? I'm just asking. That's my last question, right? For those who don't have any exams tomorrow, well, have a good night. But tomorrow is French. Oh, okay, great. All right, guys. Have a good night. The show